Everybody, and welcome back to another video. I have seen your requests for what I should record today, and honestly, I'm not taken by any of them. And I feel like I should address them. I do think they're important. It's not that I don't think that they're important. I do. I promise you, I do think that they are important. What concerns me is that the last few videos, besides the Q&A videos, which I will reserve to Sunday from now on, is that they've been quite intense, and I don't want to keep a theme of intensity. I don't want for there to be just me talking about how terrible my life is, because I don't think that's beneficial to anybody. And honestly, my life isn't terrible, at least not at the minute. I'm doing so many different things, and I'm really excited. I'm doing videos with uni days, for example. I have 2 more booked that are coming up. I'm doing the Secular Jihadist podcast in, I think it's this week. Yeah, this week's Saturday. I'm going to be recording that. And then I have the podcast with Cole, which I do every week. Although this week we're not going to have a podcast because Cole has a wedding thing to go to. But normally every week I'm doing something with Cole. And yeah, I am doing so many amazing things. I mean, look at my hair. My hair is amazing. Like, I'm having such a good time, and I don't want to make my channel just about all the misery in my life. I also don't want to make it just about Islam, because I did that for 20 years. I made my whole life about Islam. Why would I want to make everything else about Islam? And I guess I'm kind of taking a page out of the playbook of Muslims who say that we're obsessed with Islam. Let me address that first, and then I will slowly address the other things. We are not obsessed with Islam. Our problem with Islam is that the people who follow it or adhere to it, some of them are going about it in the wrong way, and that's who we are targeting with our videos. We are not targeting progressive Muslims who just want to live their lives and, pray to God. That's fine. If you watch the podcast, Outfall podcast, if you're unaware of it currently, I always make myself quite clear that I don't really care what you believe. You can believe in Allah, you can believe in God, you can believe in Jesus, you can believe in, you can believe that there's an alien in the sky who's just watching all of us after he created all of us. I don't care. Belief is belief. I've always respected people's choices to believe in whatever they believe. But at the same time, I went through an experience, and I feel like my case is not an isolated case. I'm not the only person, for example, in the UK to be radicalized through this really literal interpretation of Islam. So that's one conversation. I don't think I'm obsessed with Islam, and I don't want to come off as obsessed with Islam by just talking about Islam. And even if I did only talk about Islam, it wouldn't necessarily mean that I was obsessed with it. It would just mean that it was the only thing I had to talk about. It would be something that I was interested in and wanted to, forward. Like, there's loads of channels that just talk about Islam. For example, Apostate Prophet exclusively talks about Islam. Masked Arab exclusively talks about Islam. I don't think either of them are obsessed. I think that they are way more intelligent than I am. Honestly, they're way better at referencing things. They're way better at researching things. And if that is what you are interested in, why not be interested in it? I don't understand why we have to make it a case of being obsessed. Like, for example, there's loads of channels that deal with conspiracy theories. Would we necessarily say that they're obsessed with conspiracy theories? Fucking Ali Dawah talks about Islam endlessly. That is his entire identity. You're going to tell me that he's obsessed with converting people? That's his passion. Let him live his life, So that's one thing. The second thing is, I want to present a message of just, living my life post-Islam. So after Islam, I've done things like my experience with different things. So like with the hijab, with the niqab, leaving Islam, leaving my family home. I do have a video coming up about how to, move on from that. But that is what I want to base my channel around. I want to base my channel around just sort of living your life after leaving a traumatic experience like domestic abuse or Islam, because Islam was actually it was a means to a very abusive situation for me. It was very traumatic to leave, and I think it's important for me to talk about it to an audience that may relate to it. So that is my entire goal. And that's sometimes why I feel like having way too many intense videos one after the other is probably sending the wrong message. I do not want to make my entire life around Islam because that was my identity. Being a Muslim was my only identity for like 20 years. And I don't want to become I don't want my only identity to be the person who keeps talking about Islam after that. I mean, I'll remain an activist. I will always stand for the rights to talk about whatever you want, especially ideas. But I don't want, I want this to be fun. I want this to be a fun experience. I want to shake it up a little bit. I don't just want to talk about religion. So there were a few requests for me to talk about, what was it? I knew I should have made a list. there were a few requests for me to talk about slavery in Islam. There were a few requests to talk about male guardianship in Islam and why it's wrong. There were a few requests to talk about a couple of other things, which are, you know, they're great. I might save those questions for my Q&A videos because they would belong there more than they would belong in a video which is just my weekly video. So I'll probably add those integrate them into those videos so they are better consumed, because it's on topic to just answering questions about Islam from, you know, a progressive perspective where we don't accept slavery anymore and we don't believe in male guardianship. Also, there were a couple of requests, funner requests, like I have an interest in learning Japanese, for example, and maybe do a video based around that. I would love to do that. I might make that later on. I don't plan it for today because honestly I'm not feeling it. I'm sure it'll come on later. But I would like, so for example, to give you a very easy example, earlier this year I did an entire vlog about Chinese New Year because I had never been to a Chinese New Year experience. And my reasoning for that, I think I may have stated it in that video, my reasoning for making that video was because I know that there are people in this world who live under a very sort of oppressive / bubble where they're not allowed to experience other cultures because it might misguide them in some way. So I had, for example, I also wanted to do a vlog about Iranian New Year, but I didn't end up getting to go to the party. And that's what I want to do. I want to share experiences with people who maybe don't get to see it. So like, for example, if you live in a Muslim majority country, you wouldn't have a Chinese New Year over there because first of all, there aren't a lot of Chinese people there who are openly celebrating. And second of all, the only thing that's sort of propagated is Islam and Islam celebrations. And you know, that's fine. I get celebrations. I am the biggest advocate for celebrations because I believe life is too short to not celebrate things. But when you have like all these different cultures and all these different practices and all these cool things that you're not exposed to, it's like you're missing out. So for me, I felt like I needed to vlog some of that so that I could show you it. And that's what I want to do. I want to do cool, interesting things and not just talk about religion, because I do that once a week with Cole anyway, on the Outfield podcast. And I do that on Twitter all the time because it's the only thing that people are interested in talking to me about. And, you know, I have 100,000 other interests. I'm an Aquarius. I'm indecisive as hell. I have 100,000 things that I want to know and want to experience and just go out and do. You know, religion is just one thing that I'm into. I'm into history, I'm into literature, I'm into drawing and sketching and art, and, you know, I'm into sports, not team sports because I can't get into that, it's way too intense for me, but like not watching sports, but playing sports. I'm into so many different things, and I keep coming back to people just asking me about Islam, when, for example, the things about slavery you can easily find on, you know, in other channels, like on the Masked Arab or Apostate Prophet, easily. The evidence is all there, they've laid it all out, and it's from an ex-Muslim perspective. And I don't know, I feel like my answer would be deficient because I don't believe in providing evidence, because at the end of the day, you're going to believe whatever you're going to believe. And that's not to say that I won't talk about Islam in the future. I definitely do want to talk about Islam as much as I can because it's you know, it's part of my experience. I am an ex-Muslim. I am living an ex-Muslim life. While I'm not harassed or abused currently for being an ex-Muslim, it definitely did affect my life and may continue to affect my life in different ways. For example, I'm disowned, I've been abused, you know, all that stuff. Of course, I'm going to keep talking about it. That's not at all what I'm saying. That I won't be talking about Islam. I will, I promise. We'll come back to it. I just wish that we could just, you know, tangent off a little bit and talk about something else. You know, like I have a few videos planned with my boyfriend because he's a musician. I really want him to teach me to sing. I'm still talking to him about, you know, showing his face on camera. And not that he's shy. He's done photo shoots before, you know, I don't know whether I'll put all his links in the description, but he's very public. He's a musician. You know, I would love to learn an instrument. I would love to learn how to play the drums or the piano or like even just a little bit. I don't know. I'd love to do some cooking videos. I have a lot of things that I want to try, but I feel like I'm stuck in this box because I'm an ex-Muslim, and not only is it something that stupid people say online where they say that being, like, criticizing a religion isn't a personality. I feel like it's the only thing that people ascribe to me, is that you love religion, so you have to talk about it. 100%, that is your only goal in life. I don't want it to be. I want to be an activist in this field because it's very personal to me, and I do eventually want to set up some kind of fund or charity for not just ex-Muslims, but children who get kicked out of their homes for whatever reason. I want to set up some kind of funding for that. That's definitely in my future. That is a goal I want to aspire to. But I also have all these other things. Like I have 2 published books. I have 2 published books in the form of audiobooks through Sony Music and Movellas. You know, I fully intend to publish other books. I just haven't gotten around to finding an agent. I'm just always so busy. I study psychology, and I'm not a sciencey person at all, so I'm having a really hard time with it. You know, and I don't know. I feel like the whole speech thing is really limited for me, because sometimes it's the only thing that people ever want to talk about. And I would love to talk about other things, but I don't know. I feel like I'm very limited in that way. I don't know if I'm coming off as really whiny and complainy. I know this is very much my platform and I can choose whatever I want to talk about. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like I've become an information source for a lot of people. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I don't like being someone that people quote or someone that people, you know, drag into arguments. For example, this week, one of my tweets randomly blew up. It was like the most random tweet to blow up. And it was what I tweeted was very close to me, because I was a victim of abuse and disowning. I don't know if it's called disownment, I don't know. But I was disowned by my family. So it was in response to an article by the BBC, who had reported that in the Birmingham, like, protests about the No Outsiders program by Muslims, one of the mothers had said that they would kill their child before they would allow their child to be gay. And I had sort of commented on that, saying that this is like the love that Muslims show to their children. Not all Muslims, just like some Muslims, right? This is the love that some Muslims show to their children, that nothing is above God, everything is. And it was, I don't know if it's called sarcastic, but it's a sarcastic observation, because I was trying to explain the mindset. And some people got it and some people just didn't. One of those people was David Vance, who I had for some reason thought was part of UKIP. I don't know if he is. But he had taken it out of context and he had quote tweeted it, and then I had a lot of people coming along and saying, like, you're a disgusting human being, how could you be this way? Da, da, da. And I had to explain to them that I'm an ex-Muslim. Like, it's tiring. It's tiring is what I'm saying. It's tiring talking about religion, trying to be on the right side, you know, trying to fight for the freedom to be gay in the UK, right, in Birmingham, and, you know, raise awareness for gay rights and just people being gay. And I can't do that. I can't do that with people taking my sarcasm as truth, as like, yeah, she's absolutely a thick-headed bitch who just thinks that you should kill your kids for being gay. Like, look at me. My hair is purple. In the picture, in my Twitter picture, my lips are black. Do I look like a right-wing crazy nutcase? Like, I don't know. It gets tiring. Also, I heard yesterday that some nutjob was trying to blow up a mosque. Can we please stop creating homemade bombs, please? And can we just talk about your inconsistencies with the problems you have with different people? Can we just talk? Because I feel like if we talked about it, we could get somewhere. Like, if you said, for example, and please don't take this out of context, because I know people are out there now trying to take me out of context, and honestly, Cole is having a hard time with it because I have to put a disclaimer for everything now. If someone who is a white supremacist came up to me and said, I don't like Muslims, I think that this, I think that that, I think that this, whatever, right? I would have to have that conversation. If you go into a mosque and blow people up, there is no conversation to be had. There is no way for you to justify your actions because you have taken human lives. And for those of you who think, I don't value human life, I believe that we only have this one. So why wouldn't I value human life? I'm sorry, I'm yelling again, I don't want to yell. But like, it makes me angry. But like, I don't understand why you have to take these extreme measures to prove a point. You can just state your point and then people will respond. And I know some people will be mean about it, but that's human beings. But I'm 100% sure that there are people in the world like me who will be free to listen to you and give you a perspective that is different to yours. Like, stop blowing up mosques, stop blowing up like anything, stop blowing up everything, okay? Let's have a discussion, a civil discussion about different things, okay? Even if, for example, you hated someone with my skin color, a brown person, okay, who kind of looks Malaysian but is Bengali. Even if you hate someone of my skin color, I will find a way to get on with you so that you change your perspective. There is always a way of talking to people so that they don't make a dumb decision. Always. I work with teenagers. Trust me, I know. You know, I find it silly that people have to take all these extreme ideas. I've gone on to a completely different subject, but I'm just rambling now. I find it silly that people have to take only an extreme view without like considering the pros and cons. And Carl and I were kind of talking about this in the last podcast where we were talking about marijuana and how the argument is kind of saturated into marijuana is the best thing ever and marijuana is the worst thing ever. Those are the two arguments. And I don't understand why people can't just like say, I like this and I don't like this. Now, if we like apply the things that we don't like about marijuana and we're just like, let's put a limit on this, let's fix this, let's not do this, let's allow it for these people, let's not allow it for these people. People being of different age ranges, not race. Don't take it that way. You know, if we were to do that, if we were to work a little bit of diplomacy in there, and I kind of made a tweet like about, like, not specifically about weed, but like about just talking to people. If we had applied a little bit of diplomacy, maybe we would get somewhere. But nobody wants to talk about anything. Everything is censorship, and I fucking hate it. And I kind of wanted to talk about censorship today, but I mean, this video is already like really long. So I just needed to get all these thoughts out of my brain. Please excuse me. I will have a slightly more organized video next week, hopefully. I'm kind of on holiday, not like in a different country, but like away from work for a little bit. So I'm just sort of sitting with my thoughts, and I hate like not having anything to do. So I kind of needed to get like all this madness out of my brain. And I know people don't like that. I know you guys are always waiting for me to drop an idol all the time, but I mean, that's what your video is. Sorry, my video is for you today. And honestly, yeah, I feel better for having said all these things, because I feel like it will open up the discussion to things besides religion, because I love talking about it. I find it super interesting, but it gets boring when you post a video about it like 2 times a week and then have a podcast and then have another podcast. Sometimes it gets tiring. So yeah, thank you for watching. I know I'm just rambling in this video. I'm kind of just really tired, really bored, and you know, procrastinating on one of my essays, and that's why I'm like a bit messed up. But I mean, I will do better next week. I hope that I see you there next week and I don't lose like all my subscribers for making this nonsense piece of a video. Please do like and share if you want to. I don't know why you would. And subscribe if you like my content or anything else about me. So, yeah. Goodbye.